sketch the graph of f of x equals, and in parentheses here we see the x plus 3 quantity squared. Okay, first thing we notice is we do see this square term here, right? So this should be a parabola. Okay, we know that parabola is a U-shape. Okay, now what we could do is we can just sketch the basic graph of just x squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to draw the graph of x squared, and once again we know that it's going to be a little U shape. Okay, so if you draw the graph, now this is not drawn exactly to scale here, okay, but should look pretty similar. Okay, so we're going to draw the little U here. Okay, and I guess I should have made the table first, right? But if we draw the table, okay, and we evaluate at 0, right? Well, 0 squared is 0, right? If you substitute x as 1, then 1 squared is 1. When x is equal to 2, 2 squared is 4, right? When x is 3, 3 squared is 9. Similarly, when we plug in negative values here, negative 1 squared is positive 1. Negative 2 squared is positive 4, right? So that's how we get this U shape, right? So then the question is, okay, what about this x plus 3 in parentheses here? Okay. So what most people usually do is they just, we start out with 0, okay? So what happens if we plug in the 0 in here? Well, 0 plus 3 is 3, but 3 squared is 9, right? So if you sort of compare this ordered pair, right? Remember, this is a transformed graph, right? And we look here, well, wait a minute. Here, when the function value is 9, x was 3. But here, when the function value is 9, x is 0, right? So then, if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, okay, let's try 1. Right? But wait a minute, when I plug in 1, I get 1 plus 3, which is 4, and 4 squared is 16. Okay? Which is fine, right? It is a point that is on the graph, but let's try to plug in smaller values that are like negative 1, right? Negative 1 plus 3 is 2, 2 squared is 4. And when you plug in negative 2 plus 3 is 1, 1 squared is 1. And notice here, when I plug in negative 3, notice what happens, right? Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. And 0 squared is 0. That's where we get the 0, right? We sort of are looking for this guy, right? Where does y equal 0? And we could do one more here, but negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Square that to get positive 1, right? Notice what is happening to these function values. Okay? And we notice that the 0 is the key, right? When x is negative 3, y is 0. When x is negative 4, y is 1. When x is negative 2, y is 1. So if we draw this graph, we should get the same U shape, but what has happened here? Right? For this function, it has shifted everything. Every point has been shifted to the left 3 units, right? This is a horizontal shift, okay? I do want to point one thing out. This is very different than something like this, okay? So what your job is, make sure you look at this very carefully, okay? This plus 3 is essentially outside of the function, okay? And this one has a parentheses in it. So the plus 3 is being added to x, right? Here, the 3 is being added to the function value or the y value. Okay, so this is a vertical shift right here. Okay? But this one, okay, with the parentheses, is going to be a horizontal shift. But also, you got to be careful of one more thing, right? Did we shift this, right? Did we shift x squared to the left or to the right? Okay? And you notice in this case, it was shifted to the left. Okay, so a lot of students make that mistake, right? Don't look at this plus 3 and say, oh, I'm going to shift x squared to the right 3 units, right? This one is shifted to the left 3 units.